Chapter 232 Golden Dragon Spear. Wang Donga gave Huo Yuao this fantastic feeling not because she was pretty, but because their hearts were so close together. Huo Yuao had only gradually developed this romantic feeling after the sea god's fate, but discovered that he was improving very quickly in this aspect. He was always so happy, and he always felt so fortunate when Wang Donga was with him. Perhaps Wang Qiu looked more like the goddess of light, and perhaps she also gave him a strong sense of familiarity. However, she couldn't be compared to Wang Donga at all, who occupied all the space in Huo Yuao's heart at this moment. The golden light radiating from Wang Qiu not far from them began to recede at this moment, and one soul ring after another began to rise from her body. 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 2 black soul rings. When her sixth and final soul ring rose up, the golden hues around her had completely withdrawn into her body. It was complete. Wang Qiu had completely absorbed the 50,000-year bloody baboon king's soul ring. The entire process only took roughly 6 hours. It was an incredible and frightening speed for a soul emperor, and yet she had accomplished it so easily. Wang Donga whispered, "Her body is so ferocious. She can actually absorb a 50,000-year soul ring so quickly. Since that's the case, why does she have 200-year and 2,000-year soul rings before that?" Huo Yuao paused to think. Wang Donga was just making a casual comment, but it made a lot of sense. Wang Qiu's golden dragon martial soul had to be the reason for her toughness and ferocity. But since that was the case, why did she have 200-year soul rings? Wang Donga could absorb a 1,000-year soul ring as her second ring, and the main reason for that was because she had twin martial souls. She had mentioned to Huo Yuao before that her second martial soul was the Clear Sky Hammer, which greatly strengthened her body and was the reason why she could absorb a 1,000-year soul ring as her second ring. Wang Qiu only had one martial soul, but it was apparent that her body was probably tougher than his own and Wang Donga's. 2. Did she have some hidden troubles she hadn't voiced? They were observing Wang Qiu at the same time. Wang Qiu concluded the absorption process and looked over towards them. When her eyes met Huo Yuao's gaze, she nodded her head faintly, but she didn't look at Wang Donga at all. Her action naturally fell into Wang Donga's eyes, and a look of surprise flowed from her eyes. She snapped her head back around at Huo Yuao and said, "Why did she nod at you?" Huo Yuao didn't hide anything from Wang Donga, and he told her about when he gave Wang Qiu the meat sandwich, and how he was infuriated after she had tossed the baked bread onto the ground. The only thing he didn't say was that he and Wang Qiu had alternately eaten from a piece of baked bread. Sometimes, white lies could avoid a lot of trouble. Wang Donga's eyes seemed to melt after Huo Yuao told her about the story of the baked bread and of him and his mother. She didn't care about the others around her, and cuddled deeper into his embrace as she wrapped her arms tightly around his waist. "Auntie is so nice. I wonder if I can be as good as she was. However, if the day comes when we are about to die from starvation and there's only one piece of baked bread, then I will definitely eat it." "Hey!" Huo Yuao stared at the girl in his embrace in faint astonishment. Wang Donga had closed her eyes by now. She used a voice that only the two of them could hear and said, "Because I hope you will have me by your side in your last moments. I don't wish to see you hurt because of my death, and I want to die after you so that I can take another look at you." Her gentle words instantly filled every corner of Huo Yuao's heart. He never thought that a person would express his or her love for another like that. Wang Donga made his heart overflow with happiness. He subconsciously hugged her even tighter, but his throat seemed to be tied into a knot, and he couldn't speak a single word. Wang Donga could feel his excitement, and the feeling of being in his embrace became very real and exceptionally warm. Wang Qiu stood not far from them as she stared at them blankly. She felt a sensation that she had never felt before at the break of dawn in this dimly lit forest. The two of them were leaning against each other, and they seemed to fuse into each other to become one. And what astounded her was the emotions that flowed between them. The group woke up from their meditation one after another, and everyone could see the two lovebirds in an embrace. The two of them had their eyes closed at this moment, as if they had fallen asleep. Nobody disturbed them. The forest was full of life energy at this moment, and the two of them just sitting there was so harmonious with their surroundings, as if everything was just a masterful painting. Wang Qiu finally turned her eyes away from them and walked up to Zhang Luosan. "How's it looking, Qiu?" Zhang Luosan asked. Wang Qiu answered, "It's all right. I know where to find soul beasts suitable for him. Shall I lead the way?" Zhang Luosan asked, "Are you very familiar with the Great Stardow Forest? Where is this place?" Wang Qiu turned around and gazed into the distance, before she turned towards the sun that was gradually rising from beyond the horizon. "I once trained in the Great Stardow Forest for an entire year. I've been to the peripheral regions, the hybrid regions, and the outer areas of the core region." "1 year, continuously?" Zhang Luosan asked again, surprised. This was the Great Stardow Forest, the residence of the most famous soul beasts on the continent. More than half of the 10 great savage beasts resided here, and this was not a place that could be described as peaceful or quiet. Soul masters adventuring into the Great Stardow Forest were normal, as this place had the most soul beast species, and the most powerful ones. This place by itself was almost enough to generate soul rings suitable for every single soul master. However, using this place for training, and this training lasting for an entire year, was something that was almost unimaginable. It didn't mean that Zhang Luosan didn't have the ability, or that she wouldn't have a problem living in the peripheral region with her cultivation. However, encountering soul beasts every single day continuously without a chance to rest or relax was just so insufferable. Spending 1 or 2 days like this was still reasonable, but would one's mind just collapse if this continued for an entire year? Furthermore, high-level soul beasts might appear in the lower-level regions. Anything was possible if one lived there for an entire year. Wang Qiu was such a delicate and pretty lady, and yet she was able to live in this place for an entire year. It wasn't hard to imagine the effort she had to put in. Wang Qiu nodded and said, "1 year by myself." Zhang Luosan took a deep breath and said, "Your success hasn't come about without good reason, Dan. It seems like that you're probably more familiar with the forest than every one of us here. Which soul beasts are suitable for you, Ao?" Wang Qiu contemplated momentarily before she said, "There are several species that fit the description. At least, these species are more suitable for him than the bloody baboon. However, these soul beasts almost all live within the core region, and every single one is extremely powerful. We'll have to be very careful." Zhang Luosan pondered for a while. "All right, you take point." Even though Wang Qiu had just joined the academy, she was still part of the inner courtyard. She had to have seen some things if she spoke with such confidence. The core region was much more perilous than the hybrid region, and there would be a lot more pressure on everyone's shoulders. However, this team at their strength could definitely venture inside for a little while, and they should be fine as long as they didn't enter the slaughtering grounds. The truth was that there were hardly any soul masters who had walked into the slaughtering grounds and returned alive. Huo Yuao and Wang Donga finally woke up from their sweet moment. They were a little embarrassed when they noticed everyone's stares, but when they looked back into each other's eyes and they saw their own reflections, all that unspoken love and affection returned. Zhang Luosan altered the formation when they got back on the road. Everybody was astounded when they saw that Wang Qiu was now standing in front of the group. She had taken over Zhang Luosan's position, while Zhang Luosan took over Wang Qiu's initial position. In terms of martial souls, Zhang Luosan was an assault-type soul master, but she was most adept with mid-range to long-range attacks, and close combat wasn't her forte. Not even Huo Yuao's ultimate martial soul could compare with Wang Qiu's golden dragon in terms of close combat. Of course, the golden dragon's element was pure strength, and the golden dragon itself was thus an ultimate martial soul. If Wang Qiu's cultivation was the same as Zhang Luosan's, she would undoubtedly be the most suitable person to be standing in front. Nobody objected to Zhang Luosan's new arrangement, and everyone was more careful and vigilant when they got back on the road. The previous night's problems and disturbances gave them personal experience with the hybrid region's dangers and perils, while what they had to do next was to proceed forward and venture deeper into even more hazardous areas. Wang Qiu walked in front of the group. She had taken down her veil, and her blue wave-like hair was woven into a ponytail. Everyone looked on in surprise as she retrieved a weapon from her storage-type soul tool. A soul master's best weapon was his or her own martial soul. Soul engineers typically used weapons, but soul masters hardly used any. In the end, weapons weren't a part of one's body, like a martial soul was, and there would be a negative backlash if one didn't have complete control or coordination with his or her martial soul. Wang Qiu's weapon was a long spear. It was about 3.6 meters long, and had a brilliant golden color that was identical to her martial soul. However, her weapon didn't contain any metal at all. It seemed to be made from wood. The spear emanated a life energy so dense and strong that the feeling was comparable to Huo Yuao's life gold. Even though it wasn't as strong as the life gold's life energy, it contained a stranger and more peculiar element. Wang Qiu's spear was different from typical spears. It was sharpened on both ends, and its entire body was like a long and narrow shuttle, while Wang Qiu's hands were gripping it in the center. Wang Qiu's icy aura became even sharper when she took out the spear. She stood at the very front of the group and raced forward, and didn't seem like she had any intention of slowing down. Huro Yuao activated spiritual detection and shared it with his teammates, everyone maintaining their formation as they pushed forward. They didn't go very far before they met a pack of soul beasts. They were 6 leopards that were entirely black. Huro Yuao warned everyone at once through spiritual detection, and Wang Qiu at the vanguard immediately slowed down as her eyes grew sharper and fiercer. 6 could only be considered a small pack in the Great Stardo Forest, and they were far fewer in number compared to the bloody baboons from the previous night. However, this didn't mean that they were any less dangerous. These 6 black leopards were known as ink leopards, and leopard-type soul beasts were generally adept at speed, especially their short-distance sprinting speed. There were many leopard-type soul beasts that were on the same speed tier as the purple shadow lion, but the main difference was they couldn't keep it up over long distances. Shrek Academy had a special lesson to teach its students about the ink leopard. They were a special species of leopard-type soul beasts, as they were more proficient with defense rather than speed. The ink leopard's limbs were thicker and larger than most leopard-type soul beasts. Its forepaws were as big as a lion or a tiger's paws, and their paws could extend claws fully a foot long if they desired. Combining this destructive power with its incredible speed, even though speed wasn't its best attribute, made the ink leopard extremely difficult to deal with. The ink leopard was considered an exceptionally cunning soul beast, possessing several formidable darkness-type soul skills. These 6 ink leopards had clearly discovered them, as the smell of humans was relatively unique within the Great Forest. Everyone could see through Huro Yuao's spiritual detection that the leopards were gradually splitting up and circling the company in a fan-like formation. Zhang Lusan lowered her voice and said, "Pay attention to defense. Control their speed. Ruro." The company's formation became a little more compact. They couldn't allow soul beasts that were proficient in both speed and defense to cut through their ranks. This was common sense for soul masters dealing with soul beasts. The 6 leopards quickly came close, but they weren't quick to attack. They slowed down about 100 meters away from everyone as they stared with their ice-cold eyes while they gradually shifted horizontally. 100 meters would be covered in the blink of an eye by speedy soul beasts like them, and they were looking for an opportunity. Wang Qiu suddenly turned around and looked at Zhang Lusan as she said, "These ink leopards are very troublesome. If we engage them in battle, it will never end. These soul beasts are extremely patient. I've encountered them before. Let me go out to draw them in, and then we can take them all down at once." Zhang Lusan said, "No, that's too dangerous." She was clear that the only way to draw the ink leopards in was to create an illusion that somebody had broken off from the group, but it would be too late to save that person if it actually happened. Wang Qiu thought for a moment, then said, "Who are you? I can support me." His spiritual type martial soul can hold at least 2 of them back in an instant, and that will be enough to save me. There is only one 10,000-year ink leopard, and we will slow down by at least 80% if they keep stalking us. I'm confident of this. If this came from someone that Zhang Lusan was familiar with, then she would opt to trust this person without hesitation. But in the end, she wasn't familiar enough with Wang Qiu. Han Ruo said, "Let her go. I'll give her 1 dazzling golden rope, and even though she can't move too far from us, we will be a lot closer if we need to save her as long as my dazzling golden rope is in play." Zhang Lusan wasn't the indecisive kind, and she immediately made up her mind. "All right. Get ready, everyone. Who are you out? You'll go to the front and prepare to rescue her at any time. We also need your auxiliary and control abilities if those ink leopards gather around us. All right." Huro Yuao took a few steps forward and stood right next to Wang Qiu as he shot her an inquisitive look. Wang Qiu's head was slightly tilted upwards, and there was only arrogance and pride in her charming powdery blue eyes. She was already moving as she gripped her spear and strode forward. A pale, lightless golden line wrapped itself soundlessly around Wang Qiu's waist. Han Ruo took over her vanguard spot once again, standing beside Huro Yuao. Han Ruo's dazzling golden rope could reach up to 80 meters with her current cultivation. This was the limit of her control. If this distance was used as a radius, she would be able to reach a 160-meter wide circle around her, which was a remarkable range for a control-type soulmaster. She couldn't reach as far as Huro Yuao could, but her controlling abilities were a lot more powerful. Wang Qiu stepped forward steadily, moving further and further away. Huro Yuao found himself wanting to see what the golden spear in her hands could do. Wang Qiu moved further and further away. The ink leopards that were hidden 100 meters away from them were naturally unaware that they were being monitored by Huro Yuao's spiritual detection this entire time, and they were still concealing themselves. When Wang Qiu walked further and further away from the group, everyone could see through spiritual detection that these ink leopards' blood flow and soul undulations began to speed up. They were getting ready to pounce. "Pay attention, Yuao." Zhang Lusan immediately reminded him. She made her own preparations as well. They couldn't release their soul rings right now, as that would alert the ink leopards that something was going on. Han Ruo released her martial soul, but hid her soul rings. That was the best she could do, as her soul rings would immediately appear if she used her soul skills. "They're coming." Huro Yuao growled. Just as Wang Qiu was more than 100 meters away from everyone, the 6 ink leopards pounced. They felt like they didn't have a choice, as Wang Qiu's position was just too advantageous for them. She was right in the middle of all of them. 6 black shadows burst forward like dark lightning and surged right toward Wang Qiu. Their talons swiftly extended as they leapt, and a dark green fog surged out from their bodies. This was corrosive mist, an attack that wasn't that destructive, but known for its continuous strength. This fog would stick to their opponents like a parasite if it touched them, and was one of the ink leopard's innate skills. Wang Qiu's footsteps paused right at that moment. She pointed her spear forward as it slid through her hands, and her right hand swiftly gripped her left. This meant the golden spear in her hands was extended as far forward as it could be. A bright dragon roar could be heard in the next moment. Wang Qiu's body erupted with golden light and the spear extended forward as a golden beam of light. Wang Qiu began to rotate on the spot, and swung her spear in a circle around her. The radiant golden light seemed like a halo that expanded from her body as it quickly created a golden screen. Huro Yuao made his move at the same time, and released his soul skills one after another. Spiritual shock hit the largest and fastest ink leopard that was in front of the others, and the only one in the pack that had 10,000 years of cultivation. His fourth soul ring sparkled, and spiritual confusion struck the ink leopard right behind the first one. He wasn't worried at all that he wouldn't have good coordination with Wang Qiu with spiritual detection active. The ink leopards pounced forward extremely quickly. The 10,000-year ink leopard lost its balance when Huro Yuao's soul skill hit it, but its cultivation level meant it wouldn't be severely wounded after being struck by spiritual shock at such a long distance. Still, it felt an intense headache, and it couldn't avoid the blankness in its mind. It was still rushing forward under such circumstances, however, and it was the first to come in contact with Wang Qiu's golden spear. Its body froze at the exact same moment that it came into contact with the golden spear, and its four limbs splayed out as its body quivered violently at the same time. The golden spear only swiped across it, and it didn't knock the leopard away, but it left a gaping wound across the leopard's abdominal region as its internal organs instantly poured out from the wound. That 10,000-year ink leopard wasn't the first to meet its demise. The other leopard that was struck by spiritual confusion ended up in the exact same situation, except it was hit in the neck, and was struck by the spear's actual haft. Even though they were 100 meters away, everyone could hear a ear-splitting crack from that ink leopard with at least 6,000 years of cultivation. Its neck broke just like that, and its white bones were blown out and flew into the distance before they slammed against a large tree. The other 4 leopards that Huro Yuao didn't attack could see how petrifying this golden spear was. There was no doubting the fear that appeared in their eyes. These humans were a lot more difficult to deal with than they had thought. The other 4 leopards responded accordingly. Black light flashed across the skies as the 4 leopards disappeared, and appeared again one after another as they forcibly rolled on the ground to avoid the golden spear's swing. Instant shift. The ink leopard's innate skill, which could be used within a radius of 10 meters. However, it could only be used once a day. The company didn't sit around idly, and everyone began to move when Huro Yuao and Wang Qiu were attacked. Han Ruo tapped her foot on the ground as she propelled herself into the sky. A beam of moonlight shone onto her back and became a strong propelling force as she was shot forward like a shooting star. She just had so much coordination and chemistry with Zhang Lusan. The second person behind her wasn't the agility type Li Yongyu. It was Huro Yuao. 4 soul thrusters were activated at the same time, explosively raising his speed to the maximum level. Even though he was a beat slower because he had used 2 soul skills before this, he was still moving forward close behind Han Ruo. Han Ruo had left a dazzling golden rope around Wang Qiu's waist so that she could swiftly pull her back if she was in danger. However, she knew now that she probably wouldn't have to do that, and also realized that Wang Qiu's golden spear was a lot more powerful than they had thought. Soul beasts' bodies were a lot tougher than those of humans. However, the golden spear sliced the 10,000-year ink leopard's gut right open and then crushed the other 1,000-year leopard's neck. What kind of power was this? How could the other 4 ink leopards dare to come near when faced with a spear that possessed such formidable close combat strength? These leopards were like ghosts haunting them, and they hurtled over because they couldn't let big Greek cats go. Wang Qiu didn't pause for a single second after she succeeded on her first strike. She dragged the spear along as she darted after another leopard, and the dragon's roar could be heard once more as everyone saw the faint glimmer of a golden dragon's projection on her spear. Everything in front of her was lit up in that moment with a radiant golden color as she charged forward. The ink leopard that she had chosen had no intentions of fighting force with force, and it immediately turned to escape once it rolled on the ground as it gathered as much speed as it could. Ha! Wang Qiu released a shrill cry right at this moment, and the accelerating leopard trembled as its speed was impeded for a second before the golden spear pierced through its entire body. Everyone could see the virtual golden dragon suddenly materialize a little when the golden spear bore through the leopard's body, as an enormous dragon's maw swallowed the entire leopard and caused it to turn golden all over. Wang Qiu's body shifted once more as she swept the spear in her hand sideways. The golden ink leopard impaled on her spear was hurled like a cannon shell at another leopard that was attempting to run away, while the spear in her hands flew towards the third ink leopard as another rousing dragon's roar was heard. Boom! Striking large bodies like ink leopards wasn't too difficult with spiritual detection around. 2 leopards collided with each other, and the second one was also tainted golden as golden streaks of lightning danced across its entire body while it twisted and rolled on the ground. The golden spear was hurtling forward on the other side. The leopard knew it couldn't meet force with force, and it nimbly changed directions in the air as it spit out a black beam of light from its mouth. This was another of their innate skills, called the Divine Light of Darkness. This innate skill was a mid-range offensive skill, and it was extremely powerful, but consumed a lot of soul power. The leopards didn't want to use their last resorts, but several didn't even have the chance to do so. It was a pity that its Divine Light of Darkness wasn't fully expelled from its mouth before the golden spear pierced right through its skull. The same golden maw consumed it as the dragon projection flickered, and this ink leopard was nailed to the ground just like that. Huo Yuao and Han Ruo faced the final ink leopard. How could they have any problems at all against a 1,000-year ink leopard with their current cultivations? Han Ruo's dazzling golden rope arrested and immobilized it in an instant, while Huo Yuao's dark golden terror lashed out, and the leopard was immediately eliminated. The chilly air released from Huo Yuao's body also turned the leopard's corrosive mist into dust and dispelled it. Wang Qiu didn't stop at all on her side. She raced forward to the leopard that had crashed onto the ground after being struck by the hurled leopard corpse. That leopard was still flickering with golden light as it struggled back to its feet, but Wang Qiu kicked it right in the head, and there was another cracking sound. Everyone was still rushing forward at that moment, but they began to slow down. Too quick. It was just too quick. The time needed for 3 breaths had passed from the beginning of the battle to the end, from when the 6 ink leopards bounced forward to the moment when the last leopard was killed. Ink leopards possessed multiple soul skills, and the fact that they could survive deep within the hybrid region meant that they were relatively formidable soul beasts. However, Wang Qiu cut through them as easily as a hot knife through butter. This fight wasn't a showdown. It was just a pure massacre. Wang Qiu retrieved her golden spear. The spear only had brilliant golden hues. Not a single drop of blood clung to it. She grasped her spear naturally and sauntered back to the group. She had mentioned that she was confident in holding them back, but she was just being humble. It was clear from her performance that even if she were 1 versus 6, the worst outcome would be that a few of the leopards would get to escape. Her ferocity and brutal fighting style were present once more throughout the entire battle, and were so overwhelming, while proving to everyone once more how powerful she actually was. Even Huo Yuao was filled with awe and astonishment. He had no idea what the outcome would be if he faced off against Wang Qiu, and he actually didn't have any confidence at all. Huo Yuao had been using spiritual detection throughout the fight, so he could clearly feel how Wang Qiu's body had transformed during the battle. Wang Qiu's blood essence would surge every time she launched an attack, and she would unleash a formidable strength that didn't come from soul power. That strength was released explosively every time the dragon roar appeared, and it fused seamlessly with her personal soul power. The golden spear was clearly like a part of her body, and could impeccably amplify her own strength and soul power. Otherwise, how could she break through the 10,000-year ink leopard's defenses on the first dragon slayer with a single hit? Huo Yuao and Han Ruo had contributed to the effort that laid waste to the 6 leopards in the blink of an eye, but Wang Qiu was the main attacker, and her performance was undoubtedly much more outstanding and riveting. Li Yongyu had stopped running at this moment. He exchanged a look with Mo Sun, and the two of them swallowed at almost the same time and muttered, "She's so powerful." It was easy to say what Mo Sun was thinking, as he was almost a pure auxiliary type soul master that the academy was nurturing. But Li Yongyu, fighting was his department. He was an agility type soul emperor, and also part of Shrek Academy's inner courtyard. He was definitely not considered weak, but he didn't even dare to compare himself when he witnessed Wang Qiu's frightening explosive strength. She was just too dominant and intimidating. Mo Sun whispered to Li Yongyu, "Do you think she has any weaknesses at all?" Li Yongyu contemplated for a moment before saying, "Perhaps she's not that good with ranged attacks. She is extremely strong, so she should be only good in close combat battles." Mo Sun's mouth twitched as he said, "Did you consider her throwing the spear? Ahem, that should be considered a weapon." Li Yongyu was in a daze at this point. Mo Sun patted him on the shoulder and said, "I think we should just pray hard that we will never be standing on the other side from her. Let's go." Wang Qiu had astounded the whole company twice in 2 battles, and there was no question that she had left a deep and lasting impression in everyone's minds. She had just obtained her 6th soul ring, but her strength was not something that normal soul emperors could possibly have. Zhang Lesun came before Wang Qiu and stared at the spear in her hands deeply as she asked, "Do you need a rest?" Wang Qiu shook her head quietly. She had just killed 5 ink leopards. It seemed to be something that couldn't be any more normal to her, and didn't seem like she wanted to flaunt or brag at all. Zhang Lesun said, "All right, let's continue then." "Yes." Wang Qiu turned and was about to leave when Zhang Lesun suddenly asked, "May I ask if your weapon is related to your martial soul?" Wang Qiu paused momentarily, then nodded. "It's passed down from my family, and it's called the Golden Dragon Spear." Zhang Lesun's body quivered, and everyone else heard Wang Qiu's words too, as she didn't deliberately lower her voice. The Golden Dragon Spear that seemed like it was made from wood, but shone with brilliant golden light. Could it have something to do with the Golden Dragon? Huo Yuao blurted out. Legend has it that the Golden Dragon had 49 ribs, but its descendants only had 48. The first generation Golden Dragon's 49th rib bone is claimed to be the key for evolution into the Dragon God. Is this actually the... Wang Qiu turned around and shot him a glance as astonishment flowed from her enchanting eyes. "I didn't expect you to know so much." "Yes, this spear was forged from the first generation Golden Dragon's 49th rib." Silence. Huo Yuao was also dumbfounded. He actually wanted to say this golden dragon spear couldn't have been forged from the golden dragon's rib bone, could it? He had learned all those things about the golden dragon's 49th rib bone and whatnot from Wang Yan as a fun fact during his lessons a long time ago, and had only uttered it subconsciously. However, he had not imagined that Wang Qiu's spear could have such an extraordinary origin. It was known that the first generation golden dragon's 49th rib was also touted as the secret to becoming the dragon god. "Hey, look at those ink leopards." Mo Sun's voice broke the silence. Everyone noticed that the leopards on the ground that had been impaled and turned golden by the golden dragon spear were quickly drying up and disintegrating. It was as if all the nutrients that they possessed were swiftly dissipating into the air. Wang Qiu said plainly, "That's nothing. My golden dragon spear has a special effect of absorbing life energy, and every organism that it kills will instantly be converted into nutrients for the golden dragon spear, which will feed a portion of it back to me." Silence. Everyone glanced at each other, and the same term appeared in their minds. Divine weapon. Zhang Lesun was the first to recover. She lowered her voice and said, "Qiu, you shouldn't use the golden dragon spear so casually in the future. You can't tell anyone about what it can do." Wang Qiu seemed indifferent as she replied, "It's fine. The golden dragon spear is the dragon god's pride, and nobody can use it except the person that possesses the golden dragon martial soul. The spear will absorb life energy from anything else that touches it. Without my control, everything would be barren within a radius of 100 meters around it, as it will continuously absorb life energy from all things around it, and nothing material can block the effect. Once it has absorbed enough life energy, the golden dragon soul within the spear will be triggered, and it will take it far and wide until it finds the person that possesses the golden dragon martial soul, or someone with the golden dragon's blood. If the spear reaches a living golden dragon, then it will integrate into the dragon as its 49th rib bone and give the golden dragon the chance to evolve into the dragon god." Everyone suddenly understood what was going on. It was no wonder she could use use this divine weapon of a spear so calmly, as there were so many profound secrets and nuances embodied within it. This also meant that there was probably nobody else in the world that could use this weapon besides Wang Qiu herself. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.